You're not burned out. You're bored. You're under-challenged, under-stimulated, under-inspired, under-demanded. You don't hate your life because it's too hard. You hate it because it's too small. Some of y'all don't lack discipline. You lack a goal worth suffering for. And that's the part nobody wants to say out loud. Because it's easier to say, I'm exhausted. It's harder to say, I'm uninspired. You wake up tired. You go to work tired. You come home tired. You scroll tired. You sleep tired. That's not exhaustion. That's misalignment. I'm Anthony Manning. Welcome back to Low Battery Mode. Let's talk about it. Everybody says they're burned out. Burned out from work. Burned out from dating. Burned out from life. But let's technically define burnout. Burnout is a state of chronic physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion caused by prolonged unmanaged stress, typically related to work or intense caregiving responsibilities. It is characterized by three main components: extreme fatigue/energy depletion, increased mental detachment or cynicism towards one's job, and reduced professional efficacy. Real burnout is overload. Real burnout is caring too much for too long without recovery. Real burnout is pouring yourself into something meaningful until there's nothing left in the tank. Most of you are not burned out. You're underinvested in anything that actually matters to you. You're not exhausted from effort. You're exhausted from meaninglessness. There's a difference. You don't feel drained because you're given too much. You feel drained because you're giving your energy to things you don't respect. That job you don't care about, that routine you resent, that version of yourself you've outgrown. And instead of changing it, you scroll. Scrolling isn't rest. It's avoidance disguised as recovery. You don't need a vacation from your life. You need a reason to want it. We are the most comfortable generation in history. Food on demand, entertainment on demand, validation on demand, distraction on demand. And somehow we're the most tired. Why? Because comfort without purpose is sedation. You don't feel alive. You feel numb. You don't go home excited. You go home anesthetized. TV, phone, food, sleep, repeat. Low effort, low risk, low ambition, low battery. Your phone goes into low battery mode to survive. You go into low battery mode to avoid risk. Minimal effort, minimal standards, minimal expectations. Because if you don't try, you don't fail. But here's the problem. You also don't grow. And deep down, that stagnation, it's eating you alive. That's the fatigue. Not effort, stagnation. Let's kill another lie. You don't lack discipline. You just lack desire. People grind for what they care about. They grind in the gym, grind in video games. They grind in relationships they're obsessed with. They grind careers they believe in. Nobody complains about the gym when they love the results. Nobody complains about practice when they love the dream. The pain feels different when the purpose is clear. You don't need more discipline. You need something that makes the suffering feel worth it. Right now, the things you're doing every day, they're not worth the suffering. So of course you procrastinate. Of course you doom scroll. Of course you hit snooze. You're not lazy. You're uninspired. And you're mad at yourself for it. You pick up your phone for a second. 40 minutes later, you feel worse. Why? Because scrolling is comparison without action. It's watching other people move while you stay still. It's witnessing other people's discipline while negotiating with your own. And every time you scroll instead of act, you vote for a smaller version of yourself. You don't need to scroll less because it's bad. You need to scroll less because it's stealing your agency. Scrolling isn't rest. It's self-abandonment. You're abandoning the person you said you wanted to become. 10 minutes a day turns into years of inaction. And then you call it burnout. No, it's avoidance. Be honest. When was the last time you were deeply challenged? Not mildly inconvenienced. Not slightly uncomfortable. Challenged. The last time you chased something that scared you. The last time you risked embarrassment. The last time you put your ego on the line. Energy doesn't come from comfort. Energy comes from direction. When you have something you're building towards, you wake up differently. When you care about something deeply, you endure differently. When you're aligned, you don't feel drained by effort. You feel drained by stagnation. You don't hate work. You hate meaningless work. You don't hate responsibility. You hate responsibility with no vision attached to it. Low battery mode feels safe. You don't try too hard. You don't expect too much. You don't risk too big. You stay small. You stay comfortable. You stay tired. And the scary part, nobody calls you out. Because low battery mode looks normal. It looks like being realistic. It looks like protecting your peace. It looks like taking it easy. But let's be honest. Some of y'all aren't protecting your peace. You're protecting your fear. Low battery mode keeps you alive. It doesn't let you live. I'm not going to tell you to quit your job tomorrow. I'm not going to tell you to follow your dreams. I'm going to tell you something much simpler. Pick one thing worth suffering for. Just one. One skill. One goal. One standard. One area of your life you refuse to keep half-assing. Raise your standards in one place. Go to the gym seriously. Start that business seriously. Date that person seriously. Create seriously. Not perfectly, seriously. And here's the rule. Create before you consume. Every day. 10 minutes minimum. Before you scroll, before you watch, before you numb out, build something. Even if it's small. Because momentum creates energy, not the other way around. Here's a final thought. If you're constantly tired, if you feel stuck, if you feel lost, ask yourself this. What am I building? If the answer is nothing, that's your problem. You're not burned out. You're underserving your potential. You're under challenging your mind, under demanding of your habits, under committed to growth. And your spirit knows it. That's why you're restless. Energy doesn't come from sleep alone. It comes from direction. Stop waiting to feel motivated. Pick something. Suffer for it. Grow through it. And watch how your burnout disappears. This is low battery mode. Maybe it's time to charge up.